is Marianah Lourens met Kuns in Vermaak. Yes, art and entertainment with Marianah Lourens. And I'm once again in the green room, as per usual, as often should I say, because we're not always here. And I have two very interesting people with me. I'll go to Christi first because she's kind of the new kid on our block. Hi, Fiks.
Yes, she is. We should be kind to our visitors, to our newbies. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that was Fiks Mahola you heard there. And it's Christi van der Westhuyzen. And I was so intrigued because when I heard you are actually in PE, and I managed to, and I'm so sorry I couldn't listen to every single episode of your book being read, Sitting Pretty, because I don't actually listen to other radio stations all the time. It was just an accident that I stumbled upon it, and then I found out it was every day at about 11:45 or something, and of course I'm not always available at 11:45. Look at Fiks, he's pointing at her. Did you hear someone?
It's on a certain radio station, which is a news radio station.
We don't have to say.
Was it that one? Was it that particular radio station?
Yeah.
Yes, Sitting Pretty was.
I'm impressed that you're so loyal to Bay FM. That you only tune into Bay FM. So that is.
Yeah, well, the thing is that apart from tuning in, I'm also doing recordings and stuff. So
yes, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is with Sitting Pretty, the subject was also good, and that's why I would actually, for you and I to chat off the record at some stage as well. But your caption here, it says white Afrikaans women in post-apartheid South Africa. And of course that was quite a thing. And you probably, I don't know, maybe you're a couple of years older than Fiks, I'm not sure. I can't tell, it's hard to say.
And I'm going to keep quiet now.
And how old are you again, Fiks?
I'm 45
I used to know.
I'm 45.
45. You know, he's probably not, he's probably a lot older than you.
No. We're about the same age.
Okay, there you go.
I'm a bit older, in fact. Yeah.
You
but,
are
so
the era for you,
yes,
that you grew up, because you're younger than my oldest three daughters. You're between my youngest daughter and my third daughter. And I know it was different, quite a different thing for you guys growing up in post-apartheid South Africa than what it was for me, because I also had quite a lot of the happening before they even ever spoke about it. So it was Sitting Pretty, and what I liked was the sari that kept on coming out. And sari was, of course, the magazine.
Wow.
Yeah. So the book basically looks at white Afrikaans women or Afrikaner women, trying to make sense of how they've been able to really use the possibilities that democracy has made available. So in the transition from apartheid to democracy, obviously it's a completely different situation. We've got a Bill of Rights, we've got certain possibilities that sprung up for all women, black women and white women, and also rights or possibilities that white women didn't actually enjoy in the colonial and apartheid eras. So this book actually is to make sense of how these women are grappling with democracy, how they're using democracy in a sense to broaden their own life experience. And the nice thing is that I actually found quite a few women really using this liberation that we've actually experienced in the mid-90s, using it really to change their lives quite dramatically and to challenge certain things that were acceptable in the past around racism and apartheid and heteronormativity and patriarchy and so forth. So these women are really reinventing, many of them are actually reinventing themselves because of the democratic context. And it's based on my doctoral dissertation that I wrote a few years ago.
Yes, because she's a professor at the university. She's a doctor, not medical.
No, I've got a doctorate in sociology.
You don't want to be, I'm sure. Not today. So you've written a lot about it, obviously researched a lot about it, because also I think, as you say, we became more liberated from patriarchy, which was so for some of us, and my generation, which is the generation before, we couldn't say a word. We were quiet. Look, we spoke achteraf, né?
Yeah,
we complained and moaned. But first of all, the whole apartheid thing. We were deceived, we were lied to. The wool was pulled over our eyes. So
to some extent. To some extent.
Oh, for us, growing up, definitely. Growing up without a television, growing up without listening to the news ever, because kids didn't listen to the news when I was growing up. I so believe. You listen to, when you got a bit older, to LM radio. Otherwise, you listen to the things your mom listened to on Springbok Radio, hospitaaltyd and daai dinge. But we were definitely deceived by thinking that there were terrorists trying to kill us.
Yeah, that was part of the discourse. And my book, White Power and the Rise and Fall of the National Party, which preceded this book, I actually write about how the National Party did use propaganda to popularize apartheid, of course, but also to, in a sense, convince people that there is something called the total onslaught and so forth and so on. But I think one should distinguish between knowing about the big, and of course, the police hit squads and those kinds of things. Distinguish between knowing about that and just everyday relationships where white people were acting in racist ways to black people. Yes. And I think we all knew that. And so that is something, because I'm part of that generation that actually straddles the apartheid democracy era. I was born in 1970, so I spent half of my life almost was actually under apartheid. So I've got a good sense of what white people were aware of.
Because it was learned behavior.
Yeah, and it's also, of course, it is learned. I mean, race is something, it's a kind of a thing that we've learned, all of us as South Africans, we've learned about race. And now we have to try and unlearn it, but it's clearly very difficult for us. And that's why we've got these.
And you should have a talk to Fiks's uncle, Mzi Mahola. He wrote a book about the hidden heroes. He
called it up Forgotten Bastards.
The Forgotten Bastards. That was his book has got two titles, The Forgotten Bastards and then
History of the Struggle.
History of the Struggle. The Hidden Heroes. But it was the Hidden Heroes because a lot of them that struggled, they remained nameless, some of them. Their names didn't become part of history like some big names did. It's a wonderful book, his book as well. Now, to get to you, Mr. Mahola,
I still want to talk about
we're going to talk to Christi some more.
Okay.
I just want to find out about your workshop.
Yes.
Because I actually heard that through the grapevine that you are going. Have you started the workshop?
All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Believe it or not, when I'm not performing on stage somewhere, I work for a non-profit organization. We started it in 2008, so I'm a co-founder. And we have possibly the worst name you'll ever hear from an organizational point of view. We're called Masinyusane, which even Xhosa people struggle with.
Sorry,
but the name
exactly
Masinyusane, which means exactly.
If you was just saying Masi
it means let us raise each other up.
Yeah.
And so we're an educational non-profit. So the project that you are talking about right now, it's not. Workshop isn't actually really the right word. So what we do, one of the programs you run is to go into a school and set up a library. It will do that one of two ways. Either we'll set up a little Wendy house painted, stock it with books, and very importantly, stock it with people. Young people who are from the area. It doesn't matter that they only have grade 12, or even if they don't have grade 12. They must just have a love of children and
love books.
They must love books and love children. That's one. And then, so what happens in those libraries, I mean, our schools are generally like, how old, like they've been around since the 60s, but a school has never had a library, for example. So it's either we'll convert a classroom within the school, paint it, stock it, like make it an actual functional library where the entire school gets to enjoy the benefits of the library. When I say the entire school, I mean the entire school from grade R. So with our librarians inside the school, they will literally go to the class by class and say, right, today we're doing grade R2 at this particular school. Every single child will have a book that they will take home. And the reason for that is a sad statistic in South Africa is that there's less than 20% of households have a book in the homes. It's less than 20% of it. In fact, what you are guaranteed is that one long, big black book with the red lips, that book is going to be in every single household. But as for reading books,
absolutely, it's so sad.
Exactly. So like, there's no real culture of reading in the country and in our communities as well. So we set, and I can say this without any fear or favor, the state of our libraries in our townships Motherwell Library just last year, vandalized, burnt down. New Brighton Library, functionally not functional. There's Zweden Library, apparently is a rumor. There's no culture. So our communities don't have a culture of library, like what a library is like. So we bring the libraries into the schools and we stay in the schools as long as for years, as long as you possibly can. And kids will then have that culture of borrowing a book, bringing it back. It's like, okay, this is what happens inside the library. So that's one of the things that we do. The project you're referring to is we were opening, our latest library, which was at Arondatu Primary School in Zweden. Yes, that's that.
So that's the project. And
yes, yeah.
Of course, more people that can get involved, the better. And especially people with a heart for reading.
Yeah.
Because my generation, we had to read books. There was nothing else to read unless you wanted to read a newspaper, and kids didn't read newspapers. And that, of course, goes back to what I said before. Children didn't read newspapers. We didn't know what was going on in the news. And I was quite shocked to find out what things were like when I grew up, because I grew up partly on my grandpa's farm, where I had friends who weren't taught that there was a difference. Right. My mom wasn't like that, and my mom was a passive objector. She didn't talk about things. I'd say to her, can my friend come with me to school today? And she'll say, no, she's got to help Oma with something, but maybe next time. My mom didn't say to me she wasn't allowed to go to school with you. So I don't think it was an issue.
It's making a good link into what you were saying, Fiks, about, where does one actually create a reading, how do you create a reading culture, and also a culture of because it's also about education, access to education.
Yes, yeah.
And this is, of course, also a legacy from the past, where people were denied proper access to education as well. So, it sounds like
absolutely
very, very amazing work that you're doing.
Because Anna was my age, we played together, she didn't go to school. She grew up on the farm. My Tikkie just told me we've got a few minutes left. So your book, Sitting Pretty, Christi, I want people to read it. So how do they get hold of it?
You can get hold of it on loot.co.za and on Take a Lot. And also Fogarty's bookstore here in Port Elizabeth, which is an excellent bookstore here in Kaberga. So you can definitely also ask them to just order the book in for you. Okay. But it's also available now as a podcast. So if people go to my Facebook page, Christi van der Westhuyzen, if you search for me on Facebook, the podcast link is there. And it is, because it is an academic work, so the nice thing about the podcast is it's the same as the transmissions that you heard, is it's in nice bite-sized pieces. So yeah, and I must say it's Fiona Ramsey reading it.
She read it, yeah.
And Fiona Ramsey is just the most astonishing voice artist. I was blown away when I heard that she was actually the reader. So it was just, so from that point of view, it's also a very pleasant experience. And she really puts life into
if they want to listen to it, it's there, available for them.
If I go onto my Facebook page, I can find the podcast link there.
It's an option. But if they want the book, they can see it in print on their system, can they?
If you want the book in print, you can go to loot.co.za or to Take a Lot.
Just spell that
LOOT.co.za, which is
loot.com. Loot.
LOOT.co.za. And then
like ceiling.
Take a Lot.
Yes.
Takealot.com.
Yeah.
These are both online sites where you can purchase
but all
many
of
things,
that
but also
is
books.
on your page. You've got it on your page, haven't you?
Well, if you go to my Facebook page, you will get a lot of details there.
Yes, it's very detailed. I noticed that. So that's because I love all the references, because I'm sure that people my age will enjoy it because of the sari references. Sari became such a... Every Afrikaans woman bought the sari Mare. That was a magazine.
Oh yeah,
it was a magazine.
It's still around, isn't it?
It's still around, but this is I should just add, it is a critical analysis. Yes. So Sari magazine doesn't come out looking so great.
No,
let's just put it that way.
It doesn't. It doesn't, because it creates an image. Because it's got to make everything look beautiful. And of course, it wasn't everything beautiful. That's why I'm saying we were lied to. The wool was pulled out over our eyes. If we read sorry, then we'd think everything was fine, and it wasn't. But that's a story for another day.
If I may, please, before you move to me, what really, like with Fiona Ramsey reading that book on a certain radio station, which we shan't mention, what really, I think this book is eye-opening for everybody. I mean, let's talk. I'm a young black man, but I could relate and learn a lot of things. A simple thing like the patriarchy you're talking about earlier on, and the Broederbond, and how what they were like, and how it was just about them. That's it. Like, you have to be a white Afrikaans male. That's it. Even if you're a white Afrikaner female, you're out. Like, you are at the bottom of the barrel. And to realize that, like, wait a minute, like, okay, we thought it was just us, kind of thing. So I really enjoyed, like,
as
those
a white
elements of that
female growing up in those 60s, not growing up, I was a young female, I was a young mother in the 60s and early 70s. And in my jobs, I did the exact same job as a man. I was in sales and marketing. I would drive my car all over the country, call on customers, but the male will earn more. And not just a little bit more, a lot more. Oh, but he's got a wife and kids. So I said yes, and I don't.
And you don't.
You see, I'm a single mom. I don't have a wife and kids, but I've got kids.
Wow.
I've got kids. So that is how out of balance everything was. Always, but always was that fight on in that working world. And so, Fiks, how do they get hold of you? Because that's all we've got time for now.
So, yes. As I mentioned earlier on, our name is just absolutely the worst thing ever. If you Google Raising Each Other Up, the organizational name pops up. So if you simply just Raising Each Other Up, then you'll find masinyusane.org. And we are available on all digital platforms. Always have work opportunities for young people to work in our schools. And we also have opportunities for people to get into the university space. So again, raise each other up, or raising each other up. That's the best thing. Otherwise, if you are a closer speaker, masinyusane.org.
Well, let me just write that down, Fiks.
MASINYUSANE. N for Nelly, yes, yeah. masinyusane.org, yeah.
I should perhaps just mention that we're I'm at the Center for the Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy at Nelson Mandela University. So if people go onto our website, they will also find details.
That link there.
canrad.mandela.ac.za.
And just say again the other one that's easy.
Raising each other up, or raise each other up.
And that you can find on Facebook.
You can just Google, like on the Google, like search, whatever. Just Google it, and that will take you to.
Or phone me, I will have it. I've got it down here. And Christi's also, you can reach her through me. So if you can't reach whatever we said now on these platforms, then you can contact me. It was so nice. We definitely have to talk more about the workshops for kids, about the books.
Yeah.
And Christi, you also get involved with the books for kids. I mean, really, you...
My books are more for adults.
I know that.
Adults also need books, huh? I mean,
adults also need books, but you don't have to write for kids. You can just give some of yourself perhaps a little bit. Go and encourage, speak to them and encourage.
We'll talk.
What more can I say? Thank you so much for coming, both of you. Really, reading is like music. It's therapeutic. You know, either you listen to music or you read a book and you heal.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Christi. It's really for me, it's such a happy moment. Because I've wanted to meet you since I stumbled on Sitting Pretty. And what a beautiful title. So thank you very much. And baie dankie, Fiks. Thank you. Kosika Kulu. Merci beaucoup. Shukra. That's Indian.
Okay.
And now it's really time for Marianah. Yes, I was showing off. For Marianah Lourens to say goodbye. Ja, Marianah Lourens. En Kuns en Vermaak wat nou groet met Arrivari.